Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Randy Small, Whatcom County weather, and we are going live here tonight, hoping to take a look at all the happenings here around the area and around the Pacific Northwest. We'll just again let everybody join on in and make sure that everything is going smoothly here. So, as hopefully there's a few people that are able to join in tonight and you can hear me. Maybe let me know if you are able to hear me okay without any issues. Hopefully, I don't have this on mute. And hopefully, Facebook is up and going here. It looks like that one is as well. And I think we're up on both. Jennifer is here. Let's see who else is on here. Stephanie Freeman is on. Keith is always here. Anthony says hi. Mickey Blue Eyes is here. Standing on kittens. Kevin. I know which Kevin that is also saying loud and clear. So we're good to go. Hopefully you can see my hazard viewer observation map here, and we will just say this is quite the storm that's going to go on. And honestly, we took the hit in 21. It appears that to our south is going to take a hit. That's kind of what it feels like here. And it's tomorrow's going to be an interesting day, and on into Wednesday as well. And so let's just kind of dive into what we're seeing so far, and then take a look at the flood gauge maps. I think we got 14 rivers in major flood stage forecast in when we take a look at the Pacific Northwest. I think a couple of those are in Oregon, but Washington's going to take a big hit on this to our south. So I've been in contact with one of the Skagit officials, there's just there's going to be a lot of issues coming up, it appears to me. But Whatcom County itself, I'm hoping, and honestly, to the detriment of everybody else, or to the fact that we're going to see some issues to our south. Somebody is going to not get it as bad as others, and that's kind of what happened in 21. We and Fraser and South BC got hit, and this time it's kind of Let's go ahead and take a look at the observations. The wind seems to be scaling back. Our top wind gust was 39 miles an hour at the airport today. Again, hopefully you can see the observation map without any issue. But the southerlies have pretty well, they're not totally calmed down, but things are looking pretty lessened, as the wind advisory is going to be probably let to expire at 10 tonight, I believe. So let me just pull back to the temperature here. And there we go. We got lots of 50s and 49 and 52 and 51 up in the foothills. So, and then over in the ski area, we are at 37 with some south wind. So, just a warm night because of this. This is what happens in the wintertime when we get south flow and we get moisture kind of coming, not really from Hawaii, but from out yonder and way out. And this is kind of those setups that produce a lot of rain, as we will see, and a lot of warmer temps. So real quickly, let's take a look at precip for our area to just today. So I'm going to quick change this to the historical from midnight this morning till 8. Well, let's see. We can now go to 9. Excuse me, and we can kind of see that we have hit 2/3 of an inch at the Bellingham International Airport, 0.70 in the Laurel area, north of Laurel, 0.69 and 0.65 here in our Linden stations, almost an inch in Sumas. Foothills has 0.94, 0.82, Everson 0.74. As we go south, 0.66 over there by the water. Lake Whatcom kind of coming in between 2/3 of an inch, and we got one station down here at 1.07 inches. So and then 0.43 down by the Blue Canyon area out on the island, 0.59 on Lummi. We'll discard the 0.07 just because that station probably got an issue. A little bit less rain here up in the Birch Bay Blaine area, according to these two reporting stations. If we take a look at Skagit County, We're seeing a half an inch to 3/4 to as we get into the foothills, closer east. It looks like we got an inch, 0.62 up there on Highway 20. We got some bigger numbers up in the mountains. We got 2.4, 2.5 inches, and 2 inches and 2.5 almost here on the county line. 2.83. So that's kind of the Skagit Whatcom picture across the border. A little bit less, I guess, but well, pretty much similar numbers. Okay. But what I want to do, I want to show you tonight is two things. I want to show you the amounts to our south and southwest and the rain shadow. And it's really obvious. In fact, I'm going to pull this up on radar really quick here. I'm going to switch windows on you. And hopefully this doesn't mess things up too much. But there should be the radar up. And this is kind of where it's... Well, let me put this in motion because this was a few minutes ago. But it feels like some of the rain is kind of ending here for a little bit. We got more coming, trust me. But, we got a good dose that's been coming through the last hour or so. And but then if you switch this over to the Seattle, well, it's really the Camano Island radar, which the Camano Island radar does not pick up our Whatcom County kind of in the center of the lowlands very well, because I believe the beam is hitting a mountain or a hill. Okay, and again, someday I'll discuss my findings, although I would like to go down there and take a look at that in person. But I've done some research on some maps, and the beam is always missing right through about here. But you can see when we put it on this, look at all this yellow, oranges. Here's I-90 and Snoqualmie Pass, and then into Snohomish County here, and again, this beam is not going to get all the way up into the mountains. It's probably being blocked somewhat up there, but you can see all this rain. And then if we switch this over to the Portland radar, well, actually, let me look at the coast, because I think it's... Hang on, let's see if we can pull up the coast, and then we'll look at Portland's radar. Or is that coastal radar down? I'm not sure why it's... There it goes. But you can see it looks like some of this rain is kind of shifting south for a bit here. It's not really raining much up here in the peninsula anymore. But then if we go shift this to Portland's radar, excuse me, which is sitting here, you can see they're having a fun night, it looks like, down here. So all of this southwest stuff that we talked about, I'm going to bump this. I'm going to change this to the 24-hour just to see if that changes anything. Hold on. Okay. Look at some of these rain totals on the what would we call the upslope of the Olympics and out on by the coast. Look at this. 4.46 inches at Owl Mountain. I'm not sure of all these names of these stations, but I can click on them. 6.74 at Quinault, and I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, but you get it. 6.74 inches in 24 hours. 4.43, 6 inches. 5.23, 5.09. These are all, look at this. Look at how much rain has fallen in 24 hours. And we're just getting going here. And then if you go over here, as we start kind of going south, and I'll show you the lowlands in just a minute, and I'm going to back these numbers off just a little so there's not so many. Look at this. In the let's see, where is this? Just into King County, south of southeast of Gold Bar, but north of Snoqualmie Pass, 3.70 inches here in the mountains. Look at here, I-90 area, 5.35 inches. 5.35 inches. What station? The South Fork of the Snoqualmie River, 5.35 inches. 3.64 in the Denny Mountain area. Here's a 4.5. Again, I'm not sure which one that is, but another big one. So we are seeing some pretty hefty totals. In the lowlands, we're seeing 2 inches, inch and a half. Looks like, is that SeaTac? Just about an inch at SeaTac. 2.25 south of Tacoma. 2 inches down here southwest of Lakewood, or south of Lakewood. You can bump this back 4 inches. 3 inches in Olympia. 4 inches south of Olympia. 4.65 down here. So you get the picture. We got some large numbers, going on, and so it's quite the event here. And then you go down into Oregon. Look at these numbers. So we're not seeing these kind of numbers up in Whatcom County at this point, although the mountains still did get a couple inches. But look at the rain shadow. Oh, I was going to show you. I was going to show you the rain shadow on the radar map, and I totally spaced when I switched over to the radar. And actually, as the rain is kind of coming to the end, that donut hole may not show. It was definitely showing earlier. So let me go back to looking at this. But you can see, you can zero in on where the rain shadow's been. Right in this area. You can see 0.21, Camano Island, they're like, Camano Island people are probably like, we've hardly seen any rain, 0.06, that could be a little off, 0.17 at Mukilteo, 0.35 northeast, between Marysville and Everett, Lake Stevens, not very wet. That's kind of been this rain shadow area, maybe even a little bit of North King County here, Northwest King, and over here into the Olympics and, Port Ludlow area, even down towards Silverdale, and I'm not sure Bremerton has much of a reporting station, but you can kind of see that's where the rain shadow, the hole, and what happens is this upslope precip nails this side, and then it enhances the water vapor as it lifts, and then as it descends, it dries it out. And it's the same thing, you hit the west side of the Cascades, and then you go over to the east side, it dries it out. And there are exceptions, to that. Sometimes it doesn't quite work that way in the sense of, obviously Eastern Washington can get rain, but it's a lot drier climate over there. And one of the reasons it is on the east slopes and as you come down is the water vapor dries out, so to speak, as you're coming back down the mountain or the mountains. And the Olympics are this block here, and it's just huge numbers here, but then on the backside, and in this case, it was kind of coming in more this way as opposed to this way. Normally, the rain shadow could be, a little bit further north. This means we have gone 8 days in a row with precip for the month to start the month of December, and we should probably add 9, 10, and 11, I'm guessing, to that, maybe 12 days in a row, but we are at 1.19, and we can add another, I think it was 60, about 2/3 of an inch, so that'll put us about 185, so closing in on half the amount of our precip for the month in the first 8 days, so not quite, but ski area is 40 degrees at 8 o'clock. Actually, this will be, if we refresh this, this should have the 9 o'clock. It's 37, that's what we just saw. Obviously, no snow at the ski area, but we went from 33 earlier this morning up to 39 and 40, and now coming back down to 37. But so you can kind of say that the snow levels are probably 5,000 feet. It was 37, so the snow level might have pushed 5,500 to 6,000 feet. So a little bit maybe higher than what I thought. But a good dose of rain. 2.89 inches in 24 hours is what the ski area has registered since 9 o'clock last night, and I think that starts over here pretty soon, and they'll start doing a new set of the new 24-hour period. So let me take a look at let's take a look at the river flooding, and I will come back to this and your comments, but let me take a minute here or a second to like the stream, please, here on YouTube, and also give a love, or the more loves we get on Facebook, the more reach we're going to have. So if you like the stream but you really love it, right? But you can like it, love it, whatever. I see Benjamin tonight over at Washington Weather Chasins is trying the vertical format on Facebook. It does, when you're looking on a computer, cut some of that stuff off that he's sharing. But the vertical, Facebook is kind of forcing people to do vertical stuff because of phones and trying to live stream and do videos and reels in vertical format, and they're really cutting off the algorithm if you do it the other way. So we may look into that as well. I've already started getting set up for that. It's just kind of a big pain. There's just, Facebook and YouTube must not like each other, and so anyway. But if you're on YouTube and you have not subscribed but you're watching, please subscribe to the channel. And again, the more you watch, the more hours we get, the closer we get to having this monetized. And that's a big issue, a big deal, because it allows us to get out further into the algorithm of YouTube land. And so the more you watch, and obviously the main flooding, and honestly, I'm grateful that it's not flooding. It doesn't look like the Nooksack is going to, at this point, be a major issue. Not saying there won't be low-lying flooding, but it's if this was a major flood, we would have a ton of people on here, no doubt. So, um, but if you can watch, the more hours you watch, the more you share, the more you like it, and if you can subscribe and tell your friends, your neighbors, if you like this, if you like what we're doing here, then just help us out, because that's how we grow. And obviously we're geared mostly towards Whatcom County, but because this is a region-wide event, we are taking a look at a bigger picture here in Western Washington and the Pacific Northwest. So everybody, appreciate being on both lives tonight, and I will answer comments in just a little bit here, and questions. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat or in the comments on Facebook. And if you also like the if you want to put a comment on the YouTube page, not just in the chat, but a regular comment, well, go ahead and do that as well. Really, really appreciate you all, especially given this YouTube channel off the ground here. I never thought I was going to do this, but I pulled the trigger. There's a lot of people that are not on Facebook anymore, and so lots of people have been asking me. Okay, tonight we're looking. Let me make sure we're still up here. Yep, we are. And we're looking at wind advisory, but that's going to expire in less than an hour. Coastal flood advisory has been placed for tomorrow. Probably the last one, but this again will be the Birch Bay area. I have not heard of any issues, but it'll be from 7 a.m. I'm just looking at my calendar. Yeah, it's tomorrow till 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and we got the flood watch ongoing, and then a special weather statement, and I'm almost certain that's for landslides. A potential. So an increased threat of landslide is what this is talking about. So just note that. And then you can see our map is lit up almost like a Christmas tree, although I don't see any real reds. But the watch warning map, which is kind of subjective, because when I say subjective, the colors it just is kind of a mess. So I noticed Ben tonight at Washington Weather Chasers on his live is using an app called WeatherWise, and I've actually have that on my phone, and I just had downloaded it about a month or two ago. Somebody else suggested it because of some things that they were sharing that it can do, and I noticed he was using it on his live. So all right, we might use that as well tonight, because it really actually helps with the flood warnings and watches. And so we'll take a look at that in just a minute. And this is the area forecast discussion, but I'm going to wait. They should have a new one out before we are done tonight. Here's the Mount Baker ski area forecast. Again, now it's cooling. It was 39, 40 today. It looks like they're calling a high of 32 tomorrow, with some a few inches of snow possible over the next 24 or so hours. But then Wednesday warming back up again, so that's going to be an issue. And then it's just. Again, we're glad it's not in the 45-degree range up there. And again, we're really glad that it's not had all that snow, to be honest. As much as we want the ski area to be open, it's just the reality is, a lot of that would start coming down the Nooksack and the rivers and streams, and then we have the flooding issues. But the main rain, I keep saying this, has been shunted south so far, and that's what the weather models had kind of really done the last few days. You could see that. So let's take a look at this WeatherWise map. I'm just going to hop over here and make sure. Yep, looks like you can see that pretty good here. And you can see where the radar is kind of this green here, but the backside, it looks like this front is I guess going through, so to speak, and we got some showers now. But what you have on this map, and I'm sure there's a way to there we go. Does that look a little better? But anyway, all of these little green boxes have different advisories and watches and weather statements, but we've got flood warnings going on. The Snoqualmie near, we can just go one after another, and this is where you can specifically see the impacts and different things, potential for some of these flood warnings. So WeatherWise is where you want to go if you want to look at this. I'm going to drop this link here, in the chat here on YouTube. Hopefully people will be able to see that. I'm going to drop that over here on Facebook. So if you want to look at this yourself and play around with it, there you go. And so hopefully that you can all see that. But you can start clicking on these green boxes and you can find the flood warnings for this area. So that is one option, and I'm sure I don't have this. I set this up real quick. I'm sure I don't have this set up like I want it to, and there's a few things that I'd like to fix on getting this set up, but you can see these warnings and different things that are ongoing here. Here's one out here in the coast. Sorry, I'm playing around with this. There's a flood warning out here for the Bogachil River. Bogachil? I'm not even sure how to say it. I've heard of that river, but I don't know how to say it. So, but out near La Push in Clallam County. And so you've got all these green little box things that have flood warnings on them already. Now, some rivers do not have flood warnings on them yet, but they might yet to come because they are, a lot of them head into major flood stage potentially, at least in the forecast. So I'm going to switch this over now to one other observation. Let's see if I can fix this here real quick. That's back to my radar. And I'm going to turn on my whole display here because this one has a much larger view. And that way you can see the whole wide screen. And actually, you can see on this map, I showed you this map last night. Let me zoom out here. And you got the whole western Washington and then down into Oregon here tonight is what we're able to see. And yeah, this is showing a lot going on here. And the purples, the boxes are forecast for major. Purples are major flood. The circles are where the current observations are. Now, I did turn off the green circles here because a lot of them, even in the purples and reds, are sitting in the green. There's no flooding currently, okay? But when we start zooming in on some of these, let's take a look at Whatcom County first. They have yellow boxes. Yellow means action. The color code is off here to the right on my screen. Hopefully you can see that just above the Whatcom County weather logo that's in the bottom right of your viewing thing, at least on YouTube. I'm assuming you can see this also on Facebook as well. Hopefully that's still streaming just fine. And so the purple is this major flood, but up here we are just in action stage. And so if you click on, say, let's take a look at North Cedarville. It's an important gauge for the Nooksack River. You can see here, and there is a way you can make this full go here. Okay, so I pulled up. Here is, you can see the Cedarville is heading up, okay? And the forecast is just barely going to action and then a little bump down, and you're going to see this on just about all of these. You go up and down and then up. It's called the, basically it's a double major, well, in this case, action, but on some of them, they go twice up into major flood stage, as we'll see in just a moment, as I've been looking at some of these maps tonight and been listening and watching Ben's live over at Washington Weather Chasers. And so you can see that, but right now the Nooksack's all good here, just barely getting into action at Cedarville. And by the way, I'll dump this link as well into the chats, but it'll tell you if you scroll down on the main flood gauge page, that rhymes, flood impacts, it'll tell you different parts at 150 feet, which is major flooding. The Nooksack River will cause major near record flooding downstream through Linden. Deep and swift flood waters will inundate farmlands, roads, and residential areas. The flood may overtop levees. Okay, and then flood waters could overflow and flood the Sumas drainage. We're all too familiar with that. But you can kind of see at what levels they think these impacts, and then they got a map, and then they've got historic crests, which the record crest was November 16th, 2021. And it's still subject to further review, but it was 150.35 feet. And then we've got some recent crests, November or December of 23, and et cetera, et cetera. And you can look at a lot of this data. You can see just different stuff. There's the code for this. Well, this is the Forecast Center code, but each one of these has a code. This one is how is it? NRK. I know they all have codes. NRKW1, something like that. So, and then you can click on the downstream gauge. But if we go back to this map here, I'm going to click off this one. And when you go to Ferndale, you're going to see the same thing. I'm not going to blow up each of these, but you can see Ferndale's getting close to minor on that second bump of after it goes up into action and down. So, that Ferndale area in those low lying areas at this point now, very possible see some water over roads, etc. And, it's very possible this goes a little higher, depending on how much rain we get, over the next couple of days. So, okay. So now I'm going to click off of this a second. I'm going to take off the yellow ones, and I'm going to take off the orange ones. And I'm going to leave you with purples and reds. And these are the ones that are probably standing there as the potential of major problems. Okay, now some of the reds are here in eastern Washington, like the Yakima River, and but purples, there are 15 shown on this map. For 15 places, not necessarily 15 different rivers, because some of these rivers are going to go into major stage in different points, such as Skagit at Concrete and Skagit at Mount Vernon. And then, you're going to have a whole bunch of other rivers that are going to have some big time problems, it sure appears. So let's just zero in on the Skagit at Concrete here first. Look at this. This is, wow. It's got major stage coming back down to action and then a huge more bump up. I mean, that's just crazy. And if you click on that page, the full gauge page, I'm going to get good at saying that. You can see the observation here for tonight at 9 o'clock is the blue line, and we're almost to action stage. And by let's see the timing on this. The forecast is 10 a.m. tomorrow is going to be a major flood in concrete stage, major stage in concrete for flooding and then it's going to go again at 4 on Thursday morning. Okay, and you can just hover your mouse over, or if you're using your phone, you probably can just kind of touch the display. It's going to tell you this. And again, if you scroll down, it's going to explain what happens and it looks like, let's see, what's the record? Let me see what the record is here. The record, oh yeah, it's that 1815 flood. But in modern times, the record was the 03 flood, and I think a lot of people will remember that one. 42.21 feet. The 21 flood went to 38, almost 39 feet. But that 03 flood, and then, yeah, there's the 95 one as well. But the 42.21. So this one is forecasted to go, at this point, 37. But that can be adjusted one way or the other. So keep an eye on these kinds of things. But if you go down here, since it's forecasted to go about 37, it says the Skagit River will cause major flooding from Rockport downstream through Cedro. Deep and swift floodwaters will inundate, blah, blah, blah. Especially Cape Horn, Hamilton, Thunderbird, Cockerham Island, I don't even know where that is, Nookenchamps, and the Sterling area. Wow, I've lived here all my life and have never heard of some of these places. Levees east of Cedro-Woolley could be damaged. Okay? So, and I don't understand what all that means, but hopefully those people who live there understand what it means. Okay? So then if you click on, the Skagit at Mount Vernon here, it's not quite to action stage, but it's got the double bump here. And I believe they have a flood wall built for the Mount Vernon area now, downtown, if I remember right. And don't they have some kind of thing they put in or put up, and I don't know if they've done that. I haven't heard anything, but it seems like they did that in the 21 flood. So, okay, let's look at a few other rivers here. We got the Snohomish River at Snohomish is not only got a double bump, it's got a potential record bump. Look at this. The record is 33 and a half. They're forecasting on Thursday at 5 o'clock Thursday night, 34.64. That's over a foot over. Wow. What kind of damage could that potentially do? So you click on the main page here. And it says that it, hold on, it's still loading. Floodwaters will inundate much of the river valley, including State Route 2 west of Monroe, State Route 9. Yeah, Phase 4. This corresponds to Phase 4. I'm guessing that's the highest phase, but I don't know that for sure, of the Snohomish County Flood Program. Wow. That is crazy. That potential sitting there is not good. Not good. Now, right now, we see the observation is not quite to action stage, but you can see the potential of what's coming there. I mean, and then you just keep clicking on these. The Snoqualmie double bump here, not to the record of 62. This is near Carnation. We got the river at the falls. Then again, we have to look at what the record is. I'm not seeing a record listed there. So, and then you go down here. You got the White River now, heading up towards action stage. It's got just a single one way up there. The Carbon River, and then the Puyallup River near Ording. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. I'd have to dig into more data on this. Looks like it was supposed to be already really high, and it hasn't gotten that high. I mean, just by guessing and looking at this. There was another river. What was the one? Not the Nisqually. There was one other one. Oh, I guess it's the Chehalis River is looking to be in moderate, or the red. Skookumchuck also in the red. And then we got some purples here in southwest Washington, Grays River and the Nacelle River. So we're looking at some major issues. Skagit River south. Skagit. Oh, is there one other one? Snohomish. Skykomish. That's the one. The Skykomish near Gold Bar. Now, again, the forecast at this point at 10 p.m. was saying it was going to be 20 feet, and it's only at 18.17 as of 8:30. Now, we'll have to wait till the new report to see if it's all the way up there. We could dig into this and probably find out where the last reading was, but that appears to be maybe a somewhat behind, but I'm not for sure, because, again, that forecast is at 10 o'clock, and we haven't reached 10 o'clock. But, yeah, I don't know if there is a way to look at, if you hit these three dots, I believe we can, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. This may be what I want to do. So yeah, the latest reading on the left, observed data for this, the Skykomish near Gold Bar, is at 8:30. The forecast is 20 feet, just over 20 at 10. So we're waiting on, probably here soon they should have a 9 o'clock reading. It looks like it's, maybe an hour behind. Or I guess they come in 15 minute increments. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so it should have an 8:45 reading. I'm just going to add this up. I mean, it's going up pretty quickly here. Just by, at 7:15, it was at 16 and a half feet. At 8:15, it was at 17.99. So it went up a foot and a half in an hour. So it's very possible this is accurate. This 10 o'clock, or this 20-foot forecast. Okay. It means it has to go up 2 feet in an hour and a half. Interesting. So, okay, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to drop, hang on a second. Let me see. I want to drop the home link to this. 1 second here. Let me fix this, because I want to be able to drop this link so that you're all able to look at this. Right there. Oh, still a long link, and I think, yeah, they don't let me do that long of link in YouTube. Okay, let me URL shorten it. I wish they wouldn't allow us to do longer links in YouTube, but for whatever reason, I'm going to shorten this forecast site link here real quick here for you. Shorten the link. It will be a good link. Not going to be any problems here as soon as it shortens it. So I'll copy it, and I'm going to test it out just to make sure it works, and I'm not got any problems. There it goes. So we're going to put the National Water I think it's called prediction service link for checking on flooded rivers, or checking on flood info for rivers. Okay, put that there. And then I'm going to put that in Facebook as well. And then I'm going to take a minute and look at some comments. Okay, I think I've got those both posted. Again, as I take a break here, as you look at these maps, just remember, please subscribe if you haven't on YouTube. Please also love the Facebook one. That gets our reach out more, or like it. I guess if you're angry and you don't like us, then you can put the angry emoji, but don't usually get too many of those. And then on YouTube, if you would please like, comment. Putting comments are great, but also on the stream, the more you in the chat, is great as well. And then thumbs up. Watch hours are very important to us, especially if we potentially have storms that maybe actually come to Whatcom County. Which again, I'll take not having a flood. Now again, the trade-off is somebody else is getting it, and a lot of somebodies may get it, but this time around, it's not. I hope. And again, we got to stay cautious and stay prepared. But so far, the action stage, and again, these could bump up to the minor stage, and then we start looking at things, close again. But as far as we know, the next act's hopefully going to hold. Let's take a look at comments. Probably half of you have fallen asleep as I've talked. Appreciate. Keith says, surprised they didn't issue a flood warning on the Skagit. That's probably going to come soon. In fact, are you all still seeing my... Oh no, we lost my display capture. Okay, hang on. What happened here? Well, let me... I'm not sure why my display capture quit working. Let me pull something up a second and take a look and see if they have done anything regarding a flood warning for the Skagit. Just a second here. Let me take a look at this. Honestly, not sure why my screen quit sharing there. Let me just see. Okay, we were just talking about the Snohomish potentially to break a record. I'm not seeing really anything so far that mentions Skagit, and I can look at their individual page. I was just checking here. Yeah, not really seeing anything. Okay, so far they have not put anything for the Skagit for a flood warning that I'm seeing. So we'll keep an eye, and if that happens, we'll probably get that up on the page. And I might make a post here before I go to bed, kind of summarize and kind of see as what we're going to continue to see as well. So let me go back to the comments here. Okay, I can hear the boulders rumbling down Glacier Creek. Yeah, it's probably never a good feeling. Greg Macy says, good evening. Joe says it may be 3 on Lummi Island, but it's definitely outside. The wind and waves sound like a freight train. So, regarding that wind here on Lummi, let's see. That station, it must be sheltered. That's my guess. That's my guess, what's going on with that. Okay, Fake Lady May, I saw that Whatcom County is going to further limit their inclement weather response down the winter prior to emergencies. Doesn't look great for us when it snows. Yeah, they'll probably correct because of budget cuts. They'll probably, they'll still do the big roads. It'll be some of those secondary roads, the priority 2 and down. In fact, well, I won't bring that up, but I've got the whole priority map here on my computer, and but I think it's some of those lesser roads that already are not the highest priority. They're even going to get lessened priority. So Okay, yeah, could be an interesting if we do get a storm. Uh, a Little Heath says Weatherwise is a great app. Anne says trying to figure out if it's going to be a bad idea to drive from Anacortes up to Deming via Route 9 tomorrow. Will I end up getting stuck up north? Will there be flooding around Burlington and Cedro? Oh, that's a tough question. So you want to go from Anacortes up to Deming via Route 9. Is there possible that you could take a different route if you got up there? I don't know if you're still on here because I guess that was about 4 minutes ago that you posted that. But if you, I mean, do you? I guess are you tied to having to go Route 9? Because I'm just thinking this through. I'm guessing that if you get to I-5 and you just take I-5 up to the Mount Baker Highway. Let me just think this through. I'm just thinking if there's any, to Sunset to Mount Baker Highway. I would think. I'm just thinking, would there be any? I don't think there's going to be any flooding issues on that route. So if you were to come up Highway 9 and say, you heard that Highway 9 or there was flooding down that way in the Skagit area, and I'm not an expert on the Skagit, the Mount Vernon, the Mount Vernon or the Burlington or the Cedar, the Skagit River. I'm just not an expert on it to know exactly what that does to the roads. I'm more up here, but you could always come back Sunset, Mount Baker Highway, from Deming to Sunset and jump on I-5. So that gives you at least another option. There would be other options beyond that. It would just take you longer. So rain the next few days in Everson. Angela asks, yes, we are going to continue to see a rain in Everson. I'll just pull up Everson here since that's kind of representative of the lowlands. And Everson here is showing that it will rain tonight, a tenth to a quarter. Now tomorrow, not as much until later on. Tuesday night, we got another quarter to half an inch, and then Wednesday, half to three quarters, and then another quarter to a half inch Wednesday night, and then a tenth and a quarter into Thursday. So yes, more rain coming. As of now, I'm not seeing any issues for the Nooksack at Everson, but we have to stay vigilant. I'm just not seeing on any forecasts. Not a ton of snow up at the ski area to melt. We're watching the river gauges. If we go back to let's see if I can actually let me just pull up the river gauge on this observation page. Hang on 1 second here. I will pull this up and I will you can just click on Seattle here. Rivers and Lakes, NWPS, the prediction service. So back to this page. We're going to zoom in here. I'm going to take off these greens because it's kind of a pain to see them. So let's pick up the North Cedarville, which is the predictor. Everson doesn't have a forecast gauge. It's just got a height gauge, the current observation. But as of now, the Cedarville is beginning to go up. And they're saying at an action stage at 4 a.m. in the morning. If this, were to take a crazy hit up, but really for it to have problems at Everson, and I'm guessing the full gauge page is going to tell us what height that they suspect it would come over with at Everson. Well, I guess they mainly talk about Linden, but I'm guessing that has to be at least in the red stage, if not in the major. And so far, if we start seeing this as crept way up, then we're gonna have to revisit this. But at this point, I think we're okay at this point. Okay, let's go back to this. It seems like the YouTube screen resolution looks blurry. Okay. Kevin asked, what was the snow situation in the mountains? Well, at the ski area, it was like 6 or 8 inches. Obviously more higher up. I think it was 10 inches, 12 inches at Pan Dome, but it was 48 inches in the November 21 flood before it all came down. Okay, Ann says she doesn't like the freeway. Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, because then you're left with, like a chucking it route or, yeah, I guess, yeah, Old Lake Samish Road. Can you skirt around the freeway some of that? Or, our, what's the other road I'm trying to think of that takes you into Skagit on the east side? Oh my goodness, I know what it is, but maybe you could take some of those back roads. So, if you don't like the freeway, I just don't know enough about the Skagit high. I know Highway 9 has issues when the Nooksack floods, but yeah, sorry. I'm not sure to tell you. Going back to the Skagit here, let me take a look at something here. The Skagit near Concrete, first major crest forecast is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I know that's going to affect downstream. I just don't know that it would affect Highway 9 there, where it hits Highway 20. I just don't know enough. So, but yeah, I want to say I think you'd still be good tomorrow, but I just don't know that, Skagit County Highway 920 area, if the river's going to affect it. I mean, you can zoom in on the Skagit River. You can see Highway 9 here. Hopefully you can see that. And, the river's here. It might affect the highway here, but yeah, and then, you come downstream as you get towards Burlington. And then here's the gauge at Mount Vernon, and that one is going to crest later, 4 a.m. on Wednesday. I gotta think you're going to be okay still on Highway 9 tomorrow, but I'm not an expert on this Skagit. Chucking it, yeah. The only thing with chucking it is slides. I honestly, personally, I would not take chucking it right now. Because with a lot of rain, trees, rocks, whatever, slides. So I would go to I-5 for sure, but I got it. Yeah, Highway 99, that's what I was trying to say. Through Alger and then Samish. That's what I was trying to talk about right there. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Looks like some people found each other here. That's great. Okay, let's take a look at Facebook here tonight and its comments. Let's see what we have here. Rachel says, hi. Debbie asks, is Highway 9 flooded at Acme? As far as I know, there is no flood issues on Highway 9 or anywhere really in the Whatcom County area. Maybe some very low-lying issues, but I have not heard anything with that. So, itself, I mean, there could be some jammed up leaves in but now tomorrow night, when we get heavier rain again, that could, then it could be an issue. But I think Seattle itself is probably pretty good tomorrow, minus all the traffic. Okay, appreciate that, Louis. We can see it on Facebook. Can we look at South Fork? Yes, I will pull up the South Fork gauge for you, absolutely, here. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind on this, seeing that, but this is the South Fork. So I guess it is also barely slated into action stage, but there's the South Fork gauge there, D. Sorry about that. If it keeps raining in Deming, we will flood by Wednesday. Yeah, I don't see that amount coming. When you start looking at these river gate, numbers down south and how much rain has fallen in the mountains compared to us, that's, it's just a different story down there, and how much more down there is still to come. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So I don't think I'm not sure what D you're saying, what part might flood, but I'm not seeing any major issues from the Nooksack. Okay, let's see. Yes, the adapter. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that is. I put that comment. Action stage means. Brianna asks, what does action stage mean? Action stage, let me pull this up. I can show you. Not sure if it says it in here, but I had it up the other day. Let me just see if it shows hydrograph information. Yes, right here. Action stage is when reached by a rising stream, lake, or reservoir, the level where a National Weather Service partner or user needs to take some type of mitigation action in preparation for possible significant hydrologic activity. The appropriate action is usually defined in a forecast by the Weather Forecast Office, but action stage is it's basically the lowest stage. There's potential for something to happen. Minor is minimal or no property damage, but some public threat. Moderate is some inundation of structures and roads near streams. Some evacuations are possible. And major is extensive inundation. So, and I thought that there was a map. Let me see here. Flood stage map. No, that's probably not the way to do it. Not a flood stage map. There's a flood stage guide. Let's put that in here. Let's see if there was a nice little... Okay, I think this one will work right here. And I'm taking this from some TV station. I don't know if that's coming up, but you out of banks, still within floodplain. I'm not sure. Out of banks, yeah. But it's just the lowest stage. Let's pull this one up. Let's see what this one says. Streams and rivers, if it'll ever zoom in here. Anyway, sorry, I'm not getting this to come up. Where else can I find? If you just Google that, here we go. Understanding river flood. Action is water over the banks and into the floodplain, but not a threat to structures or roadways. Some action may be required, such as moving farm equipment or increasing awareness. I don't think... Not sure if I can dump a picture in here. Let me see. I cannot dump a picture in this chat. At least this way. So, or in the comments. That's too bad. Okay, hopefully that answers the question. Luis, I'm not sure how you say that, but how is Linden looking like? So far, so good. Linden is looking so far, so good. Again, not that there couldn't be some low-lying issues, but again, at this point, we'll know more tomorrow morning. We'll see, if things have changed when it comes to, if the gauges have been off by a bunch, the forecast side of it. So, oh wow. We got a lot more comments over on YouTube. Okay, yeah, no chucking it. Iowa Street, yes, gets water over the roadway. That doesn't take much. So, up I-5 to Sunset makes the most sense. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to avoid Highway 9, and I understand, I got it. She doesn't want to go down the freeway, or, I-5. But it is the option there. Okay. Let's take a look at what's coming up. So let's see if I can get this to work. Okay. And I wanted to show you this water vapor transport map. And actually, let's see if the 0Z Euro is out. It is. So this map here, hopefully you can see this kind of colorful blues and greens and yellows and reds, is basically showing you this river of rain, or whatever you guys want to call it. I'm tired of discussing of what we want to call it. This storm train of rain. That's what I'm calling it. The storm train of rain. On the low end of this integrated vapor transport, and there is some formula, kgm to the 1th power, s to the 1th power, or to the, I don't know. This is where I'm not a math expert when it comes to weather. But it's explaining how much water vapor is being transported. And the red color means a lot. Yellows, not quite so much. Greens, less. Blues, even less. And it's per, there's number down here on this bar graph. Hopefully you can all see that. So let's put this into motion. This was at 4 o'clock today. But you can just see, this is basically interpreted. Here comes rain. Here's where the heaviest rain is by the deeper colors. And then it kind of wanes here as we go into Tuesday. And then as we go in later, here comes this more red again. And this is overnight. Here comes it again. So we're going to get that even up here. And it just keeps coming. Some lot down here Wednesday afternoon. And it's going to Thursday. It's still going. Still going. And then it finally looks like it might take a break. And then we get a break. Maybe we have a dry day for about 5 seconds. And then maybe some more rain coming. And it's just normal systems here. Normal fronts. That's what that is. Okay? So you can see that. And if you translate that over to how much precip might be coming. Let's just run the 0Z tonight. Oops. Yeah. 0Z for December 9th. Again, the main rain's down in here. We're still getting some. But look at it stack up again. Look at this. This is crazy. And then here comes that Tuesday into Wednesday system. But again, the main rain is in this Olympics, coastal, Snohomish down here. There's good. King County is stacking it up on the Euro tonight. That's like 12 inches. That's not even through Thursday. Let's zoom into Seattle here. Let me zoom into Seattle. That'll get us really close. Hold on one second. I want to take a look at this. That's like 12 inches. And that's Thursday night. Keep going, and I guess things start drying out. But through Friday afternoon, the Euro says another 2.86 inches for Bellingham and another 5 to 6 inches up in the mountains for Whatcom County. But down here, 12 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches at the tops of the Olympics. Some of that will be snow at the higher elevations. So, and in fact, this thing was going around, making its rounds. If you go to Mount Rainier and how much rain was going to fall at the summit. And actually, if you want to look at Mount Baker's summit, which is well above where the snow level is, this is at 10,000 feet. 21 inches, up to 21 inches of snow tonight. Tomorrow, just a few 4 inches. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 22 possible. 25 inches on Wednesday, 18 inches on Wednesday night. And if you're just joining us, I'm talking about the summit of Mount Baker, not the ski area. But another 8 inches possible up to Thursday, another 4 inches. And if you add that up, you basically got 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. About 100 inches potentially. So, and then somebody else, I think it was Benjamin, but I think I've also seen this on Twitter. If you go down to Mount Rainier and you can able to zoom in on that summit, let's see. Oh, yes, very nice. Tonight, Mount Rainier, 46 to 52 inches at the summit of Rainier. Nice. Elevation 12,000 feet. Not quite the summit. 40s. Oh, and winds could gust as high as 65 miles an hour. 19 inches tomorrow, 40 inches Tuesday night, 26 inches Wednesday, 17 inches Wednesday night. Again, this is the summit of, or closer to the summit of Mount Rainier. Isn't that crazy? Hi, Anthony. Yes, I was on Ben's live earlier. I can't keep up with all the different lives that were going. I'm not sure how Keith gets into them all, but glad you're here. I'm sure you're tired, long day, and you got a big day or 2 or 3 coming up. I am certain the next couple of 3 days, because some of these guys are covering a much wider area than I normally cover. I kind of zero in on Whatcom, of course, so... But they're, covering multiple rivers, and I'm just not going to be able to get down there to do any live streaming, but I'm sure some of these guys will be. I know Benjamin is. I'm guessing Matthew is. I'm not sure if Anthony will be live streaming. Michael, probably of Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing some, but I'm sure there'll be some streams you can find tomorrow. And again, if they are live streaming out in the field, make sure you follow them, because they're going to have up-to-date information. They're going to have road closures. They're going to, they're going to come across situations, et cetera, that you might be interested. Or interested in. I think we've gone over about everything we really need to. So I think I'm going to, unless there's any other comments. Kylie, yes, my vocal cords had some problems yesterday, but I'm doing a lot better after the parade on Saturday night. But that was a lot of fun. I might have made a fool of myself, but anyway, that was too much fun. And next year we're gonna keep improving on our float and have the Whatcom County weather float, and man, it would be nice to have some real snow. Maybe we should go up to Mount Baker and get an ice box full of snow and bring that down. Of course, we'd get in trouble for throwing snowballs at people. We wouldn't want to do that. But, having some real live snow on a Whatcom County weather Christmas float, lighted Christmas float, would be pretty awesome. So, yeah, any other questions? Again, make sure you tell your friends, neighbors, enemies, dogs and cats. about subscribing on the YouTube channel, Whatcom County Weather. Make sure you like the live tonight. The more you watch, the better it is for us. And then Facebook, love, like, all the same. Well, love is probably better, but make sure you do that as well. Share these. Share them. Let people know. Let your coworkers know. Say, hey, I got a question about the Nooksack. Hey, go listen to, watch this live. Or watch the first 10 minutes of the live or the middle 10 minutes of this hour live. So, appreciate all the encouragement and the help that we have from Jennifer. And Sean is really busy, so he's not giving us much help right now, but he's got lots going on himself. So, anyway, okay, I'm not seeing too many more comments. So, yes, 6 to 7 feet of snow on Christmas. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, that was the fun we had the other night with the kids. Actually, I think it was more with the adults. So, okay, am I missing anything? I know we didn't really talk about wind potential upcoming, but we'll put up a post if anything is cooking about that. So, just looking. Okay, it looks like they just issued another flood warning to the Satsop River. Just looking here. If there's any more. Okay, wind advisory has been expired. Okay, I'm not seeing much else. So, have a great night. Thanks for joining. Really, really, really appreciate it. Really grateful for you all. Have a great night. We'll catch you on the other side.